And good morning, everyone. And it's Dr. Zen Moffat here with your host of Clutter Talk Live. And I am joined by Clara of Joy of Space and Elaine McKinlay of Clear Mountain, who are just going to start their videos. And this is our 8th episode of Clutter Talk Live. So today we have some wonderful guests on. We have Kate Galby of Better Organized, and she's an expert in paper decluttering. Now then, for some reason, I can't seem to start the video of either Elaine or Clara. So, it's me by myself at the moment. Interesting. I will ask them to start their video again. Let's see if this works. Hello, ladies. I'm all by myself. Hello, hello. Hello, ladies. Hey, here's Clara. And where's Elaine? Clara, unmute. There we go. Introduce yourself whilst we get Elaine on board.
Okay. I will do. I'll have to go just now, sorry. Okay, thank you. Bye. Bye. Hi, sorry. Hi.
Here we have Elaine. Hello, Elaine, as she sets up. We're wonderfully organised. This is obviously our 8th episode of Clutter Talk Live, and we are totally on top of it, the technical and the organising, but we're so delighted to be communicating from our living rooms into your homes, and we have hoped to take on lots of questions. And as I was saying, we have a paper expert coming in, a productivity expert, and we're also going to be talking about a couple of books that really speak to us, and a couple of that really. I'm going to stop talking for a while. Clara, introduce yourself.
Good morning. Hi, I'm Clara from Joy of Space, and I've been asked to do the introductions this week. So we're all personal organisers and declutterers, and you can find us and other personal organisers and declutterers at ABDO, the Association of Professional Declutterers and Organisers, not easy for me to say. Or you can just pop in findanorganiser.co.uk or findanorganiser.com, and you can go by your postcode. So it's fairly easy to do on Google. So we have Dr. Zen Moffat, who founded Clutter Chat, a motivational support group in Glasgow, and Zem is wonderfully eloquent on meaningful objects, and she's very interested in social isolation pre-lockdown that people can feel due to having gathering and collecting and hoarding tendencies. And we have Elaine McKinlay of Clear Mountains Decluttering and Lifestyle Organising, who is a declutterer and motivational lifestyle coach, specialising in clients with ADHD, dyslexia, dyspraxia, etc. And Elaine offers virtual sessions in virtual coaching, so you can find Elaine offering that at her Clear Mountains website. And myself, I introduced, and I am a certified Marie Kondo consultant, and I use this method in the work I do with clients. I work in decluttering and home organising with families, with children, with tidying sessions, setting up home offices, creative spaces, and I also am currently doing some virtual coaching, virtual sessions. So today we have a very exciting programme for you, and Elaine is going to talk about a wonderful book that she has been reading.
Yeah, I've been reading a book called Self-Care in the Real World by Nadia Naran and Katia. I think they're sisters, actually. It's a great little book. It's a book that it's very easy to read because it's in little sections. It's got some recipes. It's got some nice ideas to relax, etc. Oops, something's come up there. Yeah, it's come up on the screen there. And it's a really nice book for reading just now, because I think when we're sitting in the stillness of lockdown, it's quite a good way to sort of stay present and look at ourselves inwardly. And we talked about that last week, about looking at ourselves internally. And this is because we're in the stillness of lockdown and we've not got all the busyness of what's going on outside. It's a really good time for us to look at self-care. And for us working with clients, I think we always look at how the client is living in their home and how they're feeling emotionally, and about the outside world. So we tend to look at clients' self-care, and we try to coach them towards, taking on and looking inwardly before we start the decluttering process. So it's a really apt book if you're thinking of decluttering anything but want to look inside before you start. It talks about staying present, and that's something that I do a lot of mindfulness. I do mindfulness every morning with my mindfulness teacher at the moment. There's a group of us on a Zoom chat. And today, actually, we were looking at letting go, and it wasn't letting go of physical objects. It was letting go of pressures actually within our bodies, so that we could then have more clarity in our minds to then go out and deal with what's going on through the day. And I find that very useful myself. Before I go to clients, I like to go to clients with a clear mind, so I can go in and I can see their homes clearer, and then be more productive. And we're going to talk about productivity later on, but be more productive for them, and also for teaching my clients to be more productive when I leave, because I'm looking at dealing with their whole lifestyle. So I think it's a really nice book. I don't know, have you girls read the book? Have you had a read of that one?
Yes. Did I not give you that as a present, your copy?
You might well have. Yeah, you might well have, Clara.
Yes,
actually. Yeah, you might have.
And the way that I found out about it was actually from a client I was working with. So she had mentioned it and lent me her copy, and I loved it so much. I bought myself a copy, and I'm sure I bought you a copy for your birthday last year, maybe.
Well, thank you. It was a super one. They've actually got a follow-up one as well, but let's just concentrate on this one just now. But self-care is really, really important, because often we think of others and we don't think of ourselves, and I've been guilty of that, and I've been guilty of that in the beginning of lockdown, actually, and I'll share that with you, that I was giving everything to everybody around me and my clients, and then I realized I was starting to burn myself out taking on everybody else's problems. So I had to step back and look, because I then started to get a wee bit ill with that. So I thought it's a really apt one for this, where we're always giving to everybody else, but sometimes we need to, look at ourselves before we can actually help others. So it's about setting yourself some boundaries, and I think that's what I've had to do within lockdown. And I think quite a lot of people are feeling that, in the fact that people are trying to contact everybody because they know that you're in the house, but they're forgetting that you still need your free time in the house, and things like that. So we wouldn't ever contact business-wise people outside business hours, but because we're in lockdown, we feel we can contact everybody and anybody any time of the night. So I think it's about setting boundaries, and this can be carried on as we leave lockdown and we go out into the real world and we start again, and about focusing on what we can control. So that's my wee insight from that book. It's a really nice wee book to read, and you get it on Amazon or anywhere that Zem's popped up. So
sometimes
can I say I haven't read it, but I'm interested in what you said about trying to sort of set yourself sort of mindfully before you visit a client, because that's certainly something that I'm very aware of. It's like, before I go to a client, make sure I'm there for them, like totally, like my mind and present, and that I'm sort of physically able and have the right clothes, and just have that proper mindset. And it does take and I know, Elaine, you often do like just 10 minutes meditation, don't you? You'll get there early, and you'll do time to sort of prepare for that space.
I do that. I try and get there early so that I can do 5 or 10 minutes just sitting in my car, just getting into the space before I go in and give my all to the client. But also when I come home, I sit in the drive.
Mm-hmm.
When I drive the car, I don't need to get out the car. I'm home. So I just sit in the car for 5 or 10 minutes. I think my neighbours think I'm crazy. They probably do. But I just sit and I just sort of de-stress or let that go, because that one's over. And if I'm going to another client, I really make sure I've done that, because I want to leave what's happened with that client there. And then I'm looking at giving my all to the next client. So I find it's very, very important. And I wish I had known about mindfulness when I was younger and the boys were younger and I was dealing with everything that was going on. So if you're thinking about mindfulness, this is a really good time. There's plenty of things online. But my mindfulness teacher is Julie Griffin of Cultivating Mindfulness, and we will put it in the link.
I'll see if I can find her.
Below.
So it's Julie Griffin.
Julie Griffin of Cultivating Mindfulness, and she does some lovely sessions that you can do, you know, just whether you go for a wee retreat for an afternoon in the park, or mindful walking, or anything like that. She's in my local area, but there are people all over the place who do mindfulness. So if you're interested, I would really why not go on today and have a wee look, if it's something that you're interested in.
Well, I would
I'll
say
try and find that link now. So you ladies just keep chatting, and I'll see
what
if I can post that.
if you're going online and looking up mindfulness coaching, getting wee videos, choose someone whose voice you like, choose someone whose speech patterns you like, so that it's starting off from a positive place, which I know might sound quite an obvious thing to say. For example, on my sat nav, I have an Irish female voice that I call Orla, and I love her voice, and it's really relaxing, and I don't mind taking her instructions. Like, she'll say, "You have reached your destination," you know, rather than a very strident male bossy voice, which would aggravate me. But what I also wanted to say was, on Abdo, they do tips sometimes, and there was a competition of tips that personal organizing were videoing wee clips of themselves giving tips, and the one that got the most votes was about self-care, and it was a lovely lady talking just for a couple of minutes, walking in the park, talking about self-care, and the old adage of, if you're on an aeroplane, put on your own life jacket and your oxygen mask first, because it's only from that place you can help others. So self-care, what's that, Elaine?
No, sorry, I see that. Sorry, it is Julie. I think that's Julie. I don't know. Sorry about that.
I've just popped up the Cultivating Mindfulness page.
Yeah, that's her. That's it.
So self-care and mindfulness, you don't have to start from a really invested point of view with mindfulness, and that's something I use as well. I arrive places early, and I sit in my car, or if I'm walking, I sit on a bench, and just so I'm still and calm in myself, and I can be present where I'm going, rather than my mind being pulled in all different directions. And when I come home, like Elaine, if I can, I'll walk home, or I'll sit in my driveway in my car. And I've spoken about that with clients too. A busy mum, rather than rushing out of the house and rushing to work, just sitting and being calm, even for 5 minutes before she gets out the car, and coming home again, sitting for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and it makes such a difference. So if there's one thing you try from today, that would be a good one. I know we're all on lockdown and we're generally not going anywhere, but you can do that in your own home. You can do a transition time in your own home, so it doesn't need to be that you're actually going out to do it.
I think it's lovely to kind of be able to center down wherever you are. So to be able to have that tool for stillness and for calm wherever you are, whether you're in your car, at a friend's, in a pub, whatever, you know, just taking those few moments just to center down. So we haven't really said, but how's the past week been for you both? How's it gone? I've been doing a little bit of I've been singing birthday messages to people on WhatsApp is what I've been doing, which is a very kind of cheap and economical way to wish someone a happy birthday. And very quick, and it really touches people just to have that Clara was talking about the human voice, you know, what you have, and it's people have really appreciated it. So that's one of the joys that I've been trying to spread this week. What about you, Clara, Elaine? How have you been?
My week, May is a big birthday month for us. So my daughter's birthday's on Friday and my mum's birthday's on Saturday. And I've been refereeing between my children because my daughter's obsessed with her birthday and my son wants her to have a nice time, but is a bit envious that she's going to be getting presents and going to be having everything be about her. So I've been doing a bit of refereeing, but also enjoying thinking about how I can make birthdays special during this lockdown for my daughter and for my mum. And I've also, because today is the paper recycling day in Glasgow, I had assigned myself the task of reading through articles and going through paperwork that I wanted to shred and to recycle. So I feel good that some of that's gone this morning. How about you, Elaine? How's your week been?
It's been good, yes, thank you. Yes, I felt quite energised this week. Last week I was feeling a bit lower, but this week I'm feeling really energised. So I love the sunshine. I'm lucky enough to have a lovely garden, so I've been sitting in my garden a lot, and I'm going back to Viking days because my hair's going blonder and blonder, and my eyebrows have completely disappeared. That's what happens to me when I get a tan. So they've completely gone. But yes, I've been really enjoying the garden. All my little veggies are started to come up, which I posted on Instagram this morning. And people have been commenting on, all my little radishes are coming up, and my little my herbs are all coming to life, and my wee onions and things like that. So very small wee planters. I'm not saying that I've got a veg garden or anything like that, but I've got some nice wee planters, and it's really nice to see them. And also I popped a couple of bird feeders in the garden on a couple of trees, and what beautiful wee birds have been coming this week. Oh, I've loved it. So I've had a very mindful week and weekend. So yeah, really feeling good. What about you, Zem? Yeah, anything else you've been up to?
What have I been doing? Yeah, sort of singing, trying to get to grips with making some sort of sourdough bread. Oh, actually, you know what actually may be more interesting for this show is that Clutter Chat. So I founded this motivational support group for clearing clutter in Glasgow about 7 years ago. And this has given us a wonderful opportunity to take the sessions online and onto Zoom. And so I just had a training session, and we've now got 6 facilitators training up some of the members to become facilitators and working out. So I had a really kind of quite intense but very solid training session on Friday. And so that's great. So on Tuesdays now we have 2 Clutter Chat sessions, and we've had new people come along, and what they've said, which has been lovely, is that it's the same kind of welcoming feeling that they have, that new people have had when they've come to the physical meetup. So for me, for us to be able to reproduce that online has been wonderful, and the members are really benefiting from it being weekly. And having that check-in, because before they'd come like maybe every 2 weeks, and now they've got an opportunity Tuesday morning and Tuesday evening, and so that's been great, like shifting that on. So if anybody does want to, because geography is not a problem now with Zoom and after lockdown, so for some of the English people or people in different parts of the UK, Scotland's still in lockdown, so we're not partying quite yet. So please have some sympathy for us as we're still at home. But when we are, and I don't know when we'll be able to meet up as a group again, we're going to continue the Zoom. So we're going to have both and, which is really, really wonderful, because it's been our dream to spread geographically as well. So that's been a real benefit, and so I'm loving it actually. So that's really good. So if people want any information on that, the email is clutterchat@gmail.com. So that's clutterchat@gmail.com. And yeah, and I also wanted to say actually that in the bottom of my screen there's a text telephone number. So if you have any questions, I've had some come through already for Elaine, for Clara, or myself, or for the paper organizer, Kate Galbally, that's going to come in shortly, then please just text through any questions, and it's 077 265 30217. That's 077 265 30217. And as I say, it's absolutely brilliant for us to speak from our living rooms into yours, and we welcome all feedback and questions. And we have Where at Work as well, apparently.
Yes. I haven't got my mug today. I've got some but I do have a comment from Jocelyn saying that she's found during lockdown, when she drives, she no longer wants the radio on. She wants the driving time to herself so she can think and enjoy nature. And she says she lives alone, so it's not that she needs quiet to escape family. So it's interesting how lockdown's affecting our habits.
Yeah. That's a really, really interesting one, and some more feedback from people who have been watching us over the last few weeks has been that they've really enjoyed us bringing up all these different comments and finding out how people are coping within lockdown. But not only that, but also tips that they're trying in their own home. They were also thank you for your comments on this, but they were also saying they quite liked how we all had different energies, and we kind of bounced off each other, and how interesting it was that by seeing us all on screen, that you could choose someone who fitted with your type of personality or your type of decluttering project or where you wanted to go. So this has been a really good experience for us, but also thank you for your comments on that, sort of saying that you like what we're doing. It's good. That's good, isn't it? Yeah.
Thank you for that. And it's also interesting that Elaine, Zem and I have worked with clients in common, either together or separately, that sometimes clients might start off with one of us and then work with another one of us and then might come back to work with us. So it really is very dependent on where you are in that particular time in your life, what energy you are relating best with.
Yeah. So I think now might be a decent time to introduce Kate Galbally. But what I'll do is, because last week we had the president of APDO on, the Association of Professional Declutterers and Organisers, and she recommended the Finder Organiser tool on the website. So Clara, whilst you introduce Kate, I will share screen with the APDO website and find her business on that, so people can then figure out how to find your local declutterer. And I think many of us are now doing these virtual support sessions, and they do work. You're not getting, they do actually work, which I think is as surprising to us as it is to the clients, but they're very good. So I will hand over to you, Clara, and I'm going to do some featuring on the screen.
I would like to introduce the lovely Kate Galbally, whose business is Better Organised, and she's a busy mum of 2, and she specialises in productivity coaching in virtual sessions currently. She has a book that you can get through Amazon, which is A Better Organised Home in 30 Days. I think I've got the title right, have I, Kate? Yeah. So
hi there. Yes, you have.
And Kate also works as a home organiser declutterer, and she also works in a personal assistant capacity and has a particular expertise and interest in paperwork. So welcome, Kate. Lovely to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, she's not on screen yet. I'm just finding her company.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just going through the APDO website, and here she is, Better Organised. So you can find any of us firstly online, and then
I actually attended,
here we can see her face.
Yes, I attended one of Kate's paperwork courses, which I can recommend, and she has online courses coming up, which she can tell you about herself, including her productivity virtual coaching. Hi, Kate.
Hi there. Thanks so much for the lovely introduction. It's lovely to see you all.
And you.
Well, Kate, tell us about how have you been finding lockdown? What's been happening? How's your business changed, or what insights can you share?
So lockdown's actually been a really interesting time for me because previously I did the hands-on decluttering that we all do with clients, and I did have an element of a virtual offering for clients as well. I've worked with a couple of clients who aren't based in the UK and who I've only ever worked with virtually. But in lockdown, obviously the hands-on decluttering just stopped overnight. So I was able to fairly easily shift my focus to what I could do virtually for clients. So luckily I have been able to carry on working with existing clients and some new clients as well. And I've developed the workshop that Clara just mentioned, so that's coming up in a couple of weeks.
Well, tell us, repeat that name. Is there a website for it that I can flash people?
So on Eventbrite, the title of the webinar is Boost Your Productivity.
Okay, I'll see if I can find it.
A better organised
boost
diary. Boost
your
your productivity.
Boost your productivity on Eventbrite. Right, ladies can keep asking you questions whilst I find that out.
Sure, okay.
Ask her some really difficult questions, Elaine. Go on. You know,
okay. So Kate, you're really good with all the paperwork stuff. So could you give some of our viewers your top tips for decluttering some paperwork?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So when it comes to paperwork, this can be such a huge task for some people. What I find when I'm working with clients is they quite often find the paperwork side of things either overwhelming because of the sheer volume of paperwork, or they maybe don't know where to start. But what I would always suggest is just to keep it as simple as possible in terms of the way that you do your filing, your labeling. I would, if you're wanting to organize your paperwork, I would always suggest that you declutter first. You know, sift through, maybe bite-sized chunks, just take it maybe a pile at a time, or maybe a section at a time, if you like, and declutter the items that you don't need, and then with what's left, decide on the best way to organize it. But in terms of any kind of filing system, I would say just keep it as basic and simple as you can get away with. What I always think is, particularly with the way that you label things and maybe the titles that you give to categories, you don't want to have to think about what it means. So just label things in a way that makes sense to you, and just try to organize it in such a way that there is naturally only one place that you could file that bit of paper. So for example, if you have bank statements that you want to keep, I wouldn't suggest having files that say, banking, Kate's banking and TSB, because then that gives you 3 different options where something could go. So just keep it very broad, very general. Perhaps just have personal banking and business banking if you have a bank account for business. But yeah, keep it simple. That's my top tip.
Brilliant. And confidentiality wise, for shredding or for disposing of sort of documents in that, what's your top tip for that? I know that there's a nice good big shredding place beside me where you can take your shredding to and you can watch it getting done, but do you have any other ideas on how people can do that in their own home?
Yep, sure. So I've actually got a wee thing which you'll probably all be familiar with. So this is an ID protection roller. These are really handy. You can just keep it in your desk drawer or your kitchen drawer. And this, from a confidentiality point of view, if you've got paperwork that you want to get rid of confidentially at home, but you don't have a shredder, then if you just use this, then basically what it does is it can wipe out the confidential information, such as address details, etc. I think this one was about £10 on Amazon. So really simple to use. And what I would recommend in terms of a tip with this is that you keep it close to where you would actually process your mail. So that when you process your mail, when it comes in, if you can, or certainly at regular opportunities, and just decide there and then what's being kept, what's being recycled, and anything that's confidential, you can just use your roller, and then you can just put it in your recycling. And from a confidentiality point of view, you've got that peace of mind if you use that. If it's a bigger volume of paperwork, as you mentioned, there's professional companies that can either collect from you, or they can come and actually destroy it on site. They'll just destroy it in their van while you watch, or you can obviously transport paperwork to them, and you can watch it being destroyed if you want. They can give you a certificate of destruction, and you actually don't even need to worry about removing staples, Polly Pockets, anything like that. They can literally chuck the whole lot into their industrial shredders. And then from a confidentiality point of view, again, you know that you've got that peace of mind.
I've just flashed up for you your course, which I found on Eventbrite.
Oh, thank you.
As well as your Apto profile, and also the book, Better Organised in 30 Days. So viewers will now have those references. Kate's book is also available as an ebook, isn't it, on download?
It is, yeah.
So you can go through that. And I will let you get back to Clara's question. I let you know what was going on in the background.
Sure. I was just going to say the confidential rollers are a great idea. And for clients that don't like buying things online, because I have some clients that don't like having their details online because of previous fraud problems where their accounts have been interfered with, you can, once lockdown finishes, you can get them in Ryman's, for example. So, and you can get the replacements in Ryman's. So it's not something you have to get online.
Yeah.
So, Kate, what about your productivity coaching? Any top tips for people?
So the productivity coaching, that's something that I've really particularly been doing in lockdown. So that's been absolutely great to work with, as I say, existing clients and new clients as well. What I generally help people with from the productivity point of view is just identifying what is and isn't working with their current setup in terms of perhaps routines, resources that they're using or have previously tried, and just generally how they manage their time. In terms of top tips, one of the main ones I always recommend is that you take a wee bit of time every evening to plan ahead for the next day. Just take that 5 or 10 minutes to just visually plot out what you want to do. And again, it just gives you that sense of preparation and clarity, so that when you're starting the next day, you know what's ahead of you, you know what your first priority is. And I would generally try to keep your main priorities for the day to no more than you can count on one hand.
And I've seemed to recall that you're a fan of Post-its to help with.
Yes. I love my post. I've got some here. Yeah, love my Post-its. But yes, particularly again when we mentioned about with paperwork, it can be quite overwhelming. A lot of people that I speak to find that way, feel that way about their tasks as well. You know, their diaries are full. They've got big long to-do lists that they're trying to work through. And again, I just think take it as a bite-sized chunk. Post-its are brilliant. I don't use to-do lists. I do have a planner that I use, but on a sort of day-to-day basis, a nice manageable way of having your tasks in front of you is just using a Post-it note, and then you've obviously got a natural limit there on how much you can put on it.
Okay, I have some questions for you from a couple of the Clutter Chat members.
Okay.
So one of them is how to let go of old paperwork, for example, financial records, employment milestones, etc. So I suppose it's the confidential, it's the actual what you need, but also if you've had a job, you know, that's meant something to you, then maybe you want to keep a record of just that sense of pride or whatever in the job. So employment milestones, something that is interesting to me, but unlikely to be needed and of no interest to my family. So that was one question.
Okay.
And another one is, which sort of paperwork should you tackle first? What are easy wins? And how long should you keep financial stuff and receipts? So there's a few questions there. I'll let you pick them at will.
Okay, so the first one, when you mentioned about the financial paperwork, really just what I said about the shredding and the confidentiality. Again, declutter before you organise. So take it perhaps, if it's financial things, you might want to just deal with, one bank account at a time. Get that paperwork sorted before you move on to the next lot, and make use of those facilities that I mentioned in terms of the ID protection roller, shredding services, etc. For the employment milestones, one thing that I'm guessing that this is probably things like perhaps certificates or awards, promotions, that type of thing. What I would suggest is, if the actual volume of paperwork is quite manageable and that's not a cumbersome amount to store, I would just find a really nice way of storing it. So perhaps just buy like a really pretty storage box. You can pick them up really inexpensively in TK Maxx or IKEA, and just find a nice way of storing those things that keeps them all together, but also sets a bit of a storage limit on how much you keep. If there's quite a significant volume, another option is that you could just take photographs of some of the most important ones and either put together like a digital photo album of them, but then let go of the physical copies, or print out photos of them and just keep perhaps a wee bunch of photos of the ones that are most memorable. What was the next question, sorry?
The next question was, which sort of paperwork should you tackle first? What are easy wins? And how long should you keep financial stuff and receipts? So yeah, how do you start? Okay. What are the most digestible bite-sized chunks to begin with?
Okay, so I think easy wins are things that are very practical. So nothing that's really going to spark any kind of emotional response. So for an example for me would be instruction booklets, instructions and warranties, because that's just very factual, practical stuff. I would leave things like personal letters, things that are perhaps that you have an emotional attachment to. I would leave them till last. But with instruction manuals and warranties, that's quite a good way of just getting started. You can probably make really snappy decisions about what to keep and what to let go of, particularly if you don't even have the items anymore. That's a quick way of determining what to keep. And by doing that first, it just gives you a bit of momentum. It gets the ball rolling and hopefully gives you a sense of achievement once you've completed that, to then move on to another section. Can I just say one top tip about the
that'd be great. Please
instructions, because I've got this beside me as well.
Hey!
So what I do is, when I buy something new that I think I might want to keep the receipt for, in case there was a fault, what I do is I just attach the receipt, I just staple it to the instruction booklet, and then I just store the instruction booklets in a really simple box that I got from IKEA. That one there, it was a nice wee label on it, of course. And again, that just sets a storage limit for how much space I want to allow for that type of thing. I know you can get all these instruction booklets online now, but I quite like to have the paper copies, but I just have a limit on how many I keep at any one time.
I agree. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're getting really good feedback in text and things, so thanking you for your tips, particularly the roller one. I think the confidentiality, there was a comment on the YouTube messages about how wonderful that was, because people will stop putting it into recycling. They'll put it into the main bin, the paper, because of the confidentiality
Another
issue.
good wee thing with the ID roller, another good thing to bear in mind is it's really handy for things that can't be shredded. So particularly things like Amazon packaging, you know, like bulky packaging or jiffy bags. You don't,
that's a really good point, actually, Kate, because quite a lot of people that I go into have got lots of the little Amazon cartons, you know, the wee tiny ones, or the jiffy bags that they have kept because they think, well, going to have to try and rip my name off the front of that or whatever. And that is one of the key things that I say. If you could just purchase one of these and you just roll over, I always go over back and forward, and then that way as well, so it's absolutely blanked out.
Great tip. Yes, absolutely.
Really good idea. Well, thank you, Kate. And before we let you go, talk us through again the course that you've got coming up. Is it on the 8th of June on Zoom? Is that right? And also your book, and I'll flash them up on the screen whilst you do that.
Thank you. So the webinar is at 10 o'clock on Tuesday, the 9th of June, and it's basically what I'm calling a better organised diary masterclass. And what I'm going to do is just introduce people to an approach that's called default diaries. And what that will include is an explanation of what the benefits of a default diary. And then what I'll do is essentially like a live build of a default diary. But these are a brilliant tool for just helping you visually manage your time. And it can really reduce feelings of overwhelm if you're feeling you've got an awful lot on your plate. And if it's managed well, what you can actually do is effectively ditch to-do lists and really take a very diary-led approach. And using a default diary is a great introduction in how to do that.
Thank you.
So at the moment there's only 3 places left, but the tickets are still available.
Good for you. And the book?
The book is available on Amazon, or if people don't want to use Amazon, they can order it from the site that you've just brought up there, which is Indie Authors World. And they help people to self-publish books. And they basically did all of the technical and creative side of the book for me, so you can order it directly from them. Brilliant.
Well, thank you very much, Kate.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thanks so much for having me.
All the best with the rest of your week.
Thank you. You too. Lovely to see you all.
Cheerio.
Thanks, Kate.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Right, ladies. Someone else has a book to talk about, I think.
Oh, I've been reading a book called Hinch Yourself Happy, Clean Tips to Shine Your Soul and to shine your sink and soothe your soul. And
all right, I'll flash up the page and you talk about it.
So it's a lady who's I think she's now about 30, and she's had her first child. She's married and she lives in Essex with her husband, her son and her dog. And she felt a lot of anxiety in her life. And what was cleaning, not obsessively cleaning, just that's what soothed her, cleaning and organising. And so it talks about her own personal story, but it also gives very good tips. What I would say is that she is unashamed in using a lot of products that are quite chemical driven, which I personally don't like, but what she will do is give alternatives that are more natural. Like one tip that I've used during lockdown is bicarbonate of soda. So if you sieve it over your mattress, so you strip your bed off, sieve it over your mattress, leave it for an hour or two, and then hoover it up, it eliminates odours. So I thought I would try that one, and it was actually quite fun. I had to go out and buy a sieve, but I quite enjoyed that. So she will give alternatives. So she also talks about clutter and how clutter had affected her life in brief. So that is quite an enjoyable read. You can get it in supermarkets on special offer, or you could get it online. I can't show you the actual physical book because I've passed it on to someone who's loving it, and she's boring all the people she self-isolates with on these cleaning tips, but then she loves cleaning, which is why I passed the book on to her. So yeah, hint yourself happy.
Brilliant. And I certainly agree, like coming out of people from Clutter Chat, you know, there is a joy that some of them find in kind of polishing their kitchen sink. And actually, some people call it kind of a home blessing, actually. So, which might bring us into the chat shortly that I'm going to introduce on some of the spiritual and interfaith things on simplicity.
When you say that, Zem, it definitely links into what we've been talking about and what you talked about earlier with Elaine, self-care. And that's what she calls herself Mrs. Hinch. She talks about through caring for her home, she's caring for herself.
Elaine, is now a good time for me to talk about my little book? Or Elaine, did you have something to?
No, absolutely. No, I was just going to say that there's that little book, the Monk's Guide to Cleaning, or whatever.
Got that.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a really good one, which might link into what you're going to say there. Is it's a lovely wee book. You could read it in a few hours, but that is a super little book actually about the life of a monk and the sort of procedure that they go through for cleaning, and how mindful and how you know, how nice it is to clean and to think while you're cleaning. So that may link into what you're going to say there, Zem.
Yeah, and Clara is showing that. I'll put you on speaker view. Clara, just read us a quote from that or something like that, because I know that's a favourite book in Clutter Chat as well. A Monk's Guide to a Clean House.
Well, I'll read you the bit on the back. Think of your house as an allegory for your body. Keep cleaning it every day. Sweep away your worldly cares with this best-selling Japanese guide to living a cleaner, calmer, happier life, drawing on ancient Zen household techniques to show a few simple changes to your daily habits, from your early morning routine through meal times to last thing at night, not only to help turn your home into a peaceful, ordered refuge from today's busy world, but to leave you also feeling refreshed, de-stressed, and more fulfilled.
Hold the front cover up again to the page so that...
Can you see?
There we go. A Monk's Guide to a Clean House. Thank you.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's lovely.
And I think that does bring me quite nicely into what I wanted to speak about, which is an even smaller book. And it's Advices and Queries. And I'm a Quaker, so I belong to the Quaker religion, and we're known as the Religious Society of Friends. And we have a very, very small book with advices and queries. And one that has always touched me is number 41, which says, try to live simply. A simple lifestyle freely chosen is a source of strength. And then it goes on to say, do not be persuaded into buying what you do not need or cannot afford. And also then finally, do you keep yourself informed about the effects your style of living is having on the global economy and environment? But really, to me, what kind of sat in my heart was a simple lifestyle freely chosen. And obviously a simple lifestyle that you do not choose because of poverty is not good. But when you can choose it, it's amazing. So when I started out my decluttering career about 8 or 9 years ago, I was really interested as well in how other faiths also are drawn, majority of other faiths are also drawn to simplicity. So I hosted a wee gathering at our Quaker meeting house in Glasgow in 2014 with a Buddhist, a Muslim and a Catholic brother, and we each spoke about simplicity and what it meant to us from our particular standpoints. And you can see these in the Clutter Chat channel now. So I posted them up, and I was terrified, friends. I was kind of like, oh my goodness. But learning, and I just remember going on and on about olive oil is my one recommendation, because I kind of had this sort of lightning bulb moment. I've always had quite dry skin, and so I'd kind of get all these different products, but it annoyed me that these kind of natural products had to go through so many processes in order for me to use. And then I also found out that it's more expensive. There's more tax on beauty products than on food products, but actually the grade of oil that's sold as cooking oil is better quality grade because you have to ingest it than the stuff that you can get on your skin. So I'm like, one, it's more expensive. Second, it's better, it's less quality. So I now just use olive oil or coconut oil raw for my skin, and no flakes, and it's cheaper. And I just have to buy one that either sits in my kitchen or my bathroom. So I just remember going on about this. But Clara, I think you watched it.
Yeah, I watched it, and you did mention olive oil, but you spoke beautifully and eloquently about many other things, including simplicity. It was wonderful, but I could tell you were nervous, but it is nerve-wracking getting up and speaking in front of people. It really is. It was a great talk, though.
Great.
Thank you. So you can see it on the Clutter Chat YouTube channel. But that's one of my things that has really sat with me, sort of the books, and is still with me now.
Fantastic. Apologies there for me waving there. There was a man coming to my door and he was going to chat the letterbox, and I was just like, go away.
Oh,
So sorry about my hands coming up there.
No, we didn't see it. You weren't on screen
good.
because I put us on speaker view, so I was
right,
totally
cool.
unaware of your...
Oh, that's cool. That's good.
Can I quickly talk about
Yeah, we've got more time.
So if people are using the opportunity during lockdown to do a bit of decluttering, going through drawers, and are finding things that they think, well, it's too good to throw away, there's no charity shops open, what will I do with it? There is Vintage Giving, which you can go on the cancer research site, and you can request a pack, and they will send you out labels which you can attach to a box, and if you're able to go to the post office, you can take it to the post office, or you can request for it to be uplifted, and they give you a booklet. So what they're looking for are things that are old, vintage, but they can be in poor repair. It can be broken watches, tarnished silver, tarnished brass, bits of old silver, bits of old gold. It doesn't have to be in perfect condition, and they will use what they're able to. Can be old pens and old toys. They'll use what they can use, and cameras as well, and they'll the money will go to the charity. So it's sustainably focused fundraising. Easily donate old and vintage items to help the causes you care about. You can also, you don't have to request the pack. You can see this online, this wee booklet, and just click and it will pass over the pages so you can get more of an idea of what they are and aren't looking for. But that's a really good option. And if, for example, you feel like you haven't got enough to fill a box, you can share the box with the person you share your home with. Maybe they've got some things they'd like to add in, or you can put it aside until lockdown finishes it and share it with friends. Maybe they want to add some things in. So it's just another option.
On that note, I think we were talking on our ABTO site, which is the Association of Professional Declutterers and Organisers, that there was some information about charity shops opening once lockdown is over. And I think they were saying that when they get to whatever phase it is that they're allowed to actually open, then they might be doing a 72-hour, so you drop something off and then it's not opened for 72 hours or something like that. So that's good news that the charity shops will open again, because that was a concern that we didn't know how that was going to work. So we'll look forward to keeping you updated on how that's going to go in the future with that. But yes, I mean, any type of donation, obviously the charities are struggling at the moment because all the charity events have not happened, etc. So you know, we need to keep helping to fund them in whatever way we can.
I'm just laughing because you've seen I've just been flicking through the websites and remembering that we've got a course coming up. Not only does Kate Garbally has one, and yes, look whose face I found on the University of Strathclyde website. I'm going to share the screen, Elaine, and you can tell people about it.
So yes, if you don't know about this, we run a course called Moving from Chaos to Calm. And we have run that for a couple of sessions on, we've done a summer course and an autumn course already at the University of Strathclyde's Lifelong Learning Centre. And that's me on that. And I don't know how I got onto there, but anyway, I'm on the front page of the university's website. So, you know, pop along to that and see us. But moving from chaos to calm. So this is obviously was a physical course that we ran, the three of us together, but now is actually going online. So from the 8th of June, you can pop along to the university website and book your place. Now, places are limited because of the Zoom platform, but this course is running for 6 weeks, 6 Mondays, 1.5 hour per session, and it's running from the 20th of July for 6 weeks, but it opens up on the 8th of June. So if you want to go get your places then. It's been really, really popular actually in the past. And what this does is it brings like-minded people together and share experiences of clutter or who want to declutter. We are doing the same as we're doing on here, where we're giving top tips and hints on how to tackle different problems. But the great thing is it's interactive. So you can talk to us and we can talk to you, and you can talk to the other people on the course. So if you are interested at all and couldn't make it along physically to one of our courses, this is a fantastic opportunity to join us and, you know, and join in on what we're doing. And the great thing is that we found it was such a diverse group, wasn't it, ladies?
Yeah,
it was great, different ages, different problems or challenges, different outlooks. Somebody had a little tip that they had used, which we could then share with the rest of the group. And it was great. And every week we focused on something a little bit different. So it was sort of a gradual process. So first week, we kind of looked at what is clutter and why we might gather clutter, and we kind of investigated that. So, and we started to take a journey through, and Zem's
I'm going to interject, I know, because I'm looking at the time. I'm the timekeeper.
You're the
and
timekeeper.
I wanted to read a few texts that we've already got back. So someone has just bought the Monk book, and Kate's also. So good on us for promoting, passed on the info to others as they're part of a group working on productivity and goal setting, achieving dreams. So thank you very much.
Good.
So thank you, Kate, for that. We have a question for Kate, which we haven't able to cover because I've only just got the text saying, does Kate think that having scans of important letters is sufficient, or do we need the actual paper? Good question, Clara.
We can get the answer for that for next week if Kate's willing.
We will try and get you that answer. And then we have another one. If buying on Amazon, why not use Smile to benefit a charity? So
Good
Amazon
idea.
might not be everyone's thing, but you can always add a wee something to help. And someone else saying that they're doing meditation at the moment, and the person is in Dublin who they're doing it with, and it's very relaxing. And certainly Elaine saying about preparing and then leaving behind and having that space between clients is interesting. This person studies aromatherapy, and they were taught something similar. And she wished that he had thought of that this morning when someone interrupted them. It wasn't the right start of mind. And just many thanks. So I think that's wonderful. What I might do is there anything more that we want to say, or what's going to happen? And I'll go to the screens and flash up some of the references that we've spoken about so people can have that record.
I was going to say about our course, it starts on a Monday, so it's a nice way to start your week. And what we found with the people that that came to our course, that the transformation from when they started the course to the end of the course, and just that sense of accountability of talking with other people and coming to the course the next week, it was amazing what people could achieve, and just the lightness that you could see in their faces and they could see in each other as they tackled stuck areas in their life. And we had couples come along. So we had married couples come along. So it's something you can do as a couple if you want to, or friends coming along together.
Yeah, that was the really interesting thing, wasn't it, Clara, that, you know, as we said, everybody came with different challenges, but the couple, when couples came along, one person said, oh, I think it's your problem. The other person said, I think it's your problem. So actually, once we had gone through the course and we had sort of deconstructed all the reasons why the clutter was gathering, I think they came to sort of a mutual understanding that actually it was both of their problems, and that if they worked together, it would be resolved. Mm-hmm. So it's a really, really interesting one, and we really enjoy doing it. And the chat and the information that we're giving out, we feel is really useful. And you're so right in saying it's like us going in to a client who's very insular and very closed down when we open the front door the first time, and then when we leave or we go back the next time, they are that person who is open and enjoying life and whatever because of what has happened in their home. So there's a wee tip, one wee quote that said, you are not your thoughts, you are your actions. So things like, you know, maybe do think a little bit about how you're going to take this forward in the future after lockdown, and then how that thought is going to go and be put into an action. So this is something to think about while we're sitting in the stillness just now.
Thank you very much, ladies. And just to let everybody know that a lot of declutterers are now doing virtual sessions, so you can join. And also, if any of you would like to join our support group Clutter Chat, then we're welcoming new members online moving forwards into the new normal. So I think that's about it from us, isn't it? And what do we say, Clara?
From our homes to your homes, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.